How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. I think some of you will agree when I say one of the biggest problems we have in Congress is the rhinos, the ones that are older than dirt and have been there for way too long. And there should be term limits for those who work in Congress. And one of the ones I'm going to talk about today is U.S. Senator John Cornyn, who's a Republican from Texas. He is 73 years old, and he's had that seat for about 23 years now. And Texas gun owners are fed up with him, and they want him gone. And a Texas gun rights group has gone so far as to write President Trump a letter asking him not to endorse John Cornyn when he runs for re-election. And in their words, John Cornyn has betrayed the trust of Lone Star State gun owners. The gun rights group that sent the letter to President Trump is Texas Gun Rights, or TGR. And last week they sent a letter to President Trump. And in the letter, they said one of the reasons they want the senator gone is his lack of support for the Second Amendment. And part of that letter said, "Dear President Trump, we the members and supporters of Texas gun rights write to you as dedicated defenders of the Second Amendment. We urge you in the strongest terms not to endorse Senator John Cornyn in the bid for re-election in the United States Senate, and that Senator John Cornyn has repeatedly betrayed the trust of gun owners in Texas and across the country." And here's what really pushed everybody over the edge when it comes to John Cornyn. The letter went on to say, his authorship of the Fix-Nix gun control deal in 2017 flooded the federal prohibited persons list with millions of Americans, including veterans, without due process. Worse, he was the lead Republican architect of the Biden-Cornyn gun control bill, the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which Joe Biden himself celebrated as the most significant gun control legislation in 30 years. Joe Biden used that act to pen a number of executive actions limiting everybody's gun rights. So let's take a look at the damage that John Cornyn did when they wrote the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. It was used to justify backdoor federal gun regulations and red flag gun confiscation grants, and an expanded NICS system that goes even further before, like sealed juvenile records, as well as mental health records. And also the Texas gun rights letter also said, and now Senator John Cornyn has the audacity to act surprised at how the Biden administration has abused the gun control framework. We warned him, he did it anyway. And now millions of Americans are paying the price. And not too long ago, President Trump said that he wasn't prepared to make an endorsement in the race yet. The letter also went on to say the grassroots are speaking. They're fed up with career politicians and fold on our rights and say one thing in Texas, but vote the opposite in Washington. And their letter closed with, "You've made serious inroads with the gun rights community in only a few short months." But endorsing John Cornyn could undermine that progress, as Cornyn is the architect of many gun control mishaps. If you cannot endorse a pro-gun candidate in the race, we ask you to remain neutral and allow the voters of Texas to choose for themselves. Let the contrast between a career compromiser and a constitutional warrior be clear. That's a straight-on and to-the-point letter that Texas gun rights sent to President Trump. And they're completely right. Texas Senator John Cornyn needs to be voted out of office, and someone that needs to be put in place that follows the Constitution to the T and protects all of our rights, including our very important Second Amendment rights. So I'd really like to hear in the comment section down below, do you think the longtime senator from Texas, John Cornyn, should be voted out of office and that President Trump should not endorse him for re-election? And also, once again, I'd like to say I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. You guys are always crushing it after watching each video by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And it definitely helps the channel out and helps it to continue to grow. And I really do appreciate it. And I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.